Hi, this is Kasia speaking, and
Mikołaj.
And this is the second part of a podcast about foreign languages and their peculiarities and unique features. And last part focused on European languages. And today we will also discuss some of the European ones, but also more exotic ones. And we thought, since we are native speakers of Polish, why don't we start with Polish?
Yeah.
And Polish is crazy. So we are native speakers, but we are aware of the fact that Polish is it's a crazy language. So what do you think, Mikołaj? What is the biggest difficulty that foreigners may find?
Well, I think that the most obvious one is definitely the pronunciation, because, we've got so many of those sh, ch, h, sounds that are like very difficult to pronounce by someone who's not a native speaker or someone who's not a native speaker of any Slavic language. That, I think, is like the most difficult thing.
I do agree with you. And with this sh, ch, zh, I think you can find similar in different languages, but shi or chi, yeah? Or even I know my name. Foreigners cannot spell my name when this is the short form. I cannot be Kasia. I am Kasia, for example, because, they simply cannot get this sound. And what's more, orthography. Like, the same letters may have this the same sound, Yeah, but apart from pronunciation, okay, somebody somehow struggles, somehow, you can train your pronunciation and you can get it. What would you say is the other obstacle?
It's kind of hard to find those obstacles as a native speaker, obviously. But I think what could be really big setback when it comes to learning Polish is the grammar, because it also has some, let's say...
Cases. Cases.
Yeah,
we have 8 cases. But when you use it, you don't think about it.
Yeah, it's like just automatic. But I remember when I was like in primary school and we had to learn all the cases. I remember having problems with it, even as a native speaker, because like there's just so much theory, and when you are using like your native language in practice, you don't think about it, and it just comes naturally to you.
Yeah, I would tell you more. I remember during my studies, we had a subject called contrastive grammar, and we compared English grammar to Polish grammar. And I remember we had the classes with a teacher who was, I think, Ukrainian. And she was fluent in Polish, but still she taught Polish students. So she was like, okay, we are checking these cases. We are having, like, say, these nouns, and let's put some endings to each of the nouns. And you can tell me if it's correct because you are, Polish native speakers. Because she just had the knowledge from the books. And we're like, okay, like, this word looks weird. We were like, is it possible? Honestly, I wasn't sure about some Polish nouns that they can sound this way because, we've never used them like that. Or if we did, you just simply, you didn't think about it. And I remember we were looking up, like, in the dictionaries online, and then we confirmed that, you are right. It should sound this way. So even if you are a native speaker, you may have doubts. But I remember like swatting, because you had to swat the questions, and I still have it in my mind. Like you say, the nominative and genitive and so on. Do you have it in like?
Yeah,
you must learn it by heart. But so every time you change the case, this is super hard. Maybe super hard. Every time you change the case, you have to change the suffix, for example. Yeah. Do you think it's very crucial when you want to be communicative in Polish?
I don't think it's like so necessary to know all the cases and use them correctly if your goal is just to be able to speak while walking down the street to somebody, or just, I don't know, buying groceries. Everyone will understand you, but for like native speaker, it will just sound a bit off.
Of course, so, like as if you weren't educated, for example, if you're a native speaker, of course. But if you're a learner, why should you bother? I mean, you can survive without it. And another thing is when you change the verb forms, because apart from the cases, we have a lot of like inflection and conjugation, and it's also a hard stuff.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
I remember having an experience of teaching Polish to a foreigner. I don't want to do it anymore. Like we had like I think the classes, like there were 2 weeks, because he wanted just to have better grade at school, because he I think it was like he attended the international school and he had Polish classes, and he was very ambitious and he wanted to have a better grade, and we had to focus on grammar. He wanted to know every rule, and I remember like I have a huge wall in my classroom, and we had few basic verbs in Polish, and in general few basic verbs. And we had to put them in, like, every person has a different ending in every tense. And we have also, like, finished, unfinished aspects in Polish. We have just 3 tenses. Yeah, this is cool. But also, like, we have this finished, unfinished aspects. And I remember, like, I was doing it automatically, like, putting, the verbs in the correct form. But the moments he asked me, but why is it this way? The rule says it should go like that. I was like, okay, let me have a look. And I was like, I have no clue. Like, okay, I think it might be an exception. And then, I was Googling it, and it turned out, for example, it was an exception. And also what I realized, I came to this grammar rule when I looked at the wall. So before that, I hadn't paid attention because I just simply didn't know the rule. And then once I looked at the wall, I was like, okay, that's the rule. And then automatically I got this. So, that was a very crazy experience for me. But something that I don't wish to, to come back to, because, it is so crazy to teach Polish. So if there are like teachers of Polish, like as a foreign language, like huge respect to you.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't bother. I mean, if I wanted to learn Polish. And the other thing is, where you can use Polish.
Obviously only in Poland, like.
Yeah. So really, if you want to study another language,
just choose another language.
Yeah, just choose another one. Okay. So we've got this, the sounds, the grammar, which is crazy. Yeah. Also, I think if you're interested, I mean, you can find some, I don't know, like, if you look it up in Google and you want to find the Polish verbs, the conjugation, you may find some like huge tables, and I think the first look you got is you would come to a conclusion.
Yeah, it's probably like for someone who hasn't really experienced the Polish language and saw this thing, he would be like terrified and be like, nope, there's no way I'm ever doing that.
And have you ever heard comments from foreigners? Have you asked them like, how do we sound, for example, in Polish? What do you think about the Polish language?
Well, actually, I had some experiences with foreigners and the Polish language, but I was like on an Erasmus exchange in Croatia. And there were some Macedonians. I'm not sure whether you pronounce it Macedonians or Macedonians, as they said, but
I would go for C, but...
Me too, but they often said like Macedonia, and I was like, okay, so which one is correct?
So we mentioned both, so we will not offend anyone, yeah?
And while we were talking and they were like overhearing our conversations, they understood like so much of it that they were able to just speak with us in their own language. And I think that's like also so interesting that despite us being native speakers of different languages, just because both of our languages were Slavic, we could understand each other very easily. And what is funny that they said the Polish sounded really funny. And also what they pointed out is that we talked so fast.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I will agree. But don't you think it's the same impression when you start hearing the new language? It's like one long melody and So But yeah, and I think we are not the loudest country, the loudest nation.
No.
But still, I think if you compare it to, I don't know now, I am trying to think of any other language, but relatively, we speak loud. Don't you think? Of course, like, for example, the Arabic is louder. And Spanish, maybe. Mm-hmm. Or I'm just a loud person. That's why that's the
no,
feeling
it's
that
not.
I have.
It's not just a you thing. I mean, what's actually funny is that on this exchange in Croatia, we, the Polish group, were described as the loudest because we were like almost just. You could basically hear us at all times if we went out from a hotel. So yeah. But I guess that some languages are just naturally meant to be like louder.
Because I think of the sounds. Like some of the sounds, they must be, pronounced in a loud way. I mean, there's no other way just to, like, say j. Like, you cannot say, we have the sound j. Can you hear it? Like, if you are a foreigner and listening to it, this is something new to you, probably. But how can you say j, like, for example, in the word źrebak, which is a pony, yeah? Pony? Or, yeah, like the small horse. Yeah. So how can you say it, like this sound? Of course, we are not shouting out, yeah? But it's still impossible to speak quiet, yeah? Quiet. Or you start learning Polish and you're super motivated, and then you say the word hi, which is...
Cześć.
Yeah. 3 Polish sounds. Cześć. But it's like cool to have. Okay, it's short, yeah. And once you learn it, then you master 3 Polish sounds. So, and this is the basic word.
Or if you're lazy, you can just go for hey.
Yes, yeah, probably. I mean, or you maybe don't say hi at all. I mean, Polish nation. Sometimes, I mean, we are super friendly. We are, yeah? So, I mean, what I want to tell you is that when you visit Poland for the first time and you think we are super miserable or depressed, we are not. This is just our face, like, expression.
We just look like it.
Yeah, we just look like it. But inside, we are super cool. We are not like all of us are dead inside. Anyway, so yeah, you learn either the first word, which is super hard, or you want to travel to one of the biggest cities in Poland and you go to...
Łódź.
Yeah, nice word, isn't it? And actually, in this word, like, it consists of 3 sounds, just 3 sounds, and all of them are Polish.
Yeah, but when you think of it, like, a lot of Polish, the biggest cities, like, have the sounds. For example, Bydgoszcz. Szczecin, so it might be difficult for that to pronounce it. Yeah,
and you mentioned Bydgoszcz. I have an anecdote. It's funny, that's why I will digress. Sorry, but my Spanish student, I remember during conversation classes, I taught them the word conscientious. Conscientious. Thank you, Mikołaj, very much. Yes, conscientious. And of course, they were struggling. This is one of the words that students, they need to practice more, this word. And some of my Polish students were like, oh my gosh, it's Chinese. I cannot pronounce it. And she was like, you can pronounce Bydgoszcz, but you cannot pronounce conscientious. And she was like, she was, she was right. It was true. So yeah, Bydgoszcz is, it's quite hard stuff too. Or Gdańsk.
Yeah, also.
So when you look these cities up, most of them have this Polish sound in the name, so probably they will be also written down without these marks. But for example, Bydgoszcz, it's like there are no special letters in Polish, like the Polish special letters. Yeah. So you mentioned that other nations may feel that we are louder. Also, when I ask some foreigners, they say, we just can hear sh all the time. And I don't know why, like, where it comes from. It's because we have so many consonants next to each other. And that's the feeling that they have. Yeah? Because, okay, Bydgoszcz, the city that we live in, yeah? has these sounds. But Polish is not all about it.
No, not really.
We have a wide range of other crazy sounds, yeah? So it's not about just sh and ch, yeah? But this is how the foreigners hear us, and probably like one melody, when you hear the foreign language. Okay, anything else, Mikołaj, you would like to tell?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so grammar's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pronunciations and sounds are crazy.
Unless you're Slavic.
Yes. Yeah. Then it's easier. And if you want to study Polish, treat it as a hobby, because
you won't be using it too much if you're like not traveling to Poland, or in theory to Czech Republic, because like from my experience I've learned that Czechs are like, so I don't know how to say it, multilinguistic.
Okay, like multilingual?
Yeah,
okay.
Something like that, because they understand obviously Czech, English because of the tourists, Polish also because of the tourists, and German also because of the tourists. So if you go there, maybe you will make a better use of Polish, because the Czechs will understand you and you will understand them. But
yeah.
What's funny is that, like, for us as native Polish speakers, Czech sounds so funny.
Yeah, it does. It does, because I think the sounds are softer.
Yeah, there are. Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's true. You can speak Polish and the Czech person can use Czech, and you can, of course, not everything, yeah, but you can understand a lot. And this is what also helped me, because I once had a Czech student, and sometimes, we just talk like that. But another experience is that I had in one class a Czech person and a person from Slovakia, and their level of English, sometimes, it wasn't that advanced that I could just use English. I had to go for either like Polish, Czech or Slovak equivalents. And we had like a triangle, because the Czech person understood me, like understood Polish, but the Slovak didn't. And then the Czech translated the things that I said in Polish to the Slovak one, because the Slovak and the Czech is even closer to each other than, for example, but I could easily understand the Slovak person when she talked to me, but she couldn't understand me. Yeah. And it was okay. Like, we somehow survived, it was good that there were three of us, but this is funny. Like, how come that, I could get her, but she couldn't get me? So let's move on to another crazy one. Would you say Arabic? Is it time for Arabic?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, so before I start, explaining something, Mikołaj, maybe you have some questions concerning the Arabic language, and we can start with this.
I think, the most common question about it could be, how difficult is it to start writing from a different, let's say, perspective? Because you, in most languages, you write from left to right, and in Arabic, it's the other way around, right?
Yes, it's from right to left, and when you read a book, you also read it from the back.
Okay.
This is crazy. Unfortunately, my level wasn't that high that I could read in Arabic. I would explain in a moment why. But yeah, even if I wanted, I would have to open it from the back, because it's crazy. It's from the European perspective, it's something super weird. And when it comes to spelling and writing, this is something that people consider the most difficult. Of course it is challenging, but it's not of the most challenging things that I have to master. Once you get it, it comes easier and easier, as probably with when you study different language, and you have some points to study, to practice, and then other weird things are awaiting. But before we get to them, what can be challenging in mastering the Arabic alphabet is that the letters, when they are separate, when you learn the alphabet, they look differently. So, when you look it up, when you find the Arabic alphabet, and then when you, for example, put into Google Translator or in some dictionary a word, you will see that it looks completely different. Because some of the letters, they connect with each other, and when they connect, they change the shape. Yeah. And some of the letters are very independent and like, I don't care. And I'm always standing by myself and I will not like much, and connect with anybody. Some of them are very friendly and they can take a letter that is either on the left or on the right. Yeah, standing on left and right. Some of them are just like, I'm taking just the one on my right, or I'm just taking the one on my left. It sounds crazy. I can see your facial expression, of course. For me, it was also like, what is happening here? But I remember writing a lot. I remember like it was kind of, let's say, when I wanted just a moment to relax, I just focused on the alphabet because it was like close to drawing, let's say, you just practice it. And then once, like if you are like more and more into the language, if I made a mistake, I knew there was something wrong. Like I could see, it shouldn't look this way. And then, I should have matched it, for example. Yeah. So the more you read, it comes natural to you. Mm-hmm. But at the beginning, I remember my brain had kind of like, didn't know what was going on. Because I remember I had something like, I was writing something down from the right to the left. And then my hand stopped. And I didn't know what to do. Like, should I go back to the right? Or, should I... Yeah. So at the beginning, your brain can like go crazy. Mm-hmm. What is, I think, even more difficult, the alphabet consists just of consonants. There are consonants. And there are just 3 vowels in Arabic. But when you open a book, any book in Arabic, any article on the website somewhere, there are no vowels. They don't put vowels. Yes, so you need to have a very good command, like at least intermediate level of Arabic to read the book. That's why I never got into it, because it was too crazy. And you know what? What is even worse is that because the word is just spelled with consonants. And if you put a different vowel, you can change the meaning of the word. And sometimes it's just it's just changing the part of speech, which is okay. Still, you can manage. But sometimes it is a matter of changing the word meaning. Yes. And when you start studying the Arabic language, the teachers, the way I was taught was like, we had a piece of text written in Arabic and we listened to the teacher who was reading it out. Mm-hmm. And we had to put the vowels in the correct places. That's how we learned the words, because every grammar book, I just had there was one book, I was surprised it was Polish, Polish Arabic book, that had the vowels written, because if you take the classical books that you use when you study Arabic, there are no vowels. Like the teacher must help you because you don't know. You see the word and you don't know. And even if you put the word in the dictionary, in the let's say Google, because I will mention the old school dictionaries in a moment. You can be given a few meanings. Yes. So actually, to read a book, it's it's super challenging, and I never got into it. And also, there are long vowels. Short and long vowels. So the ones that I just told you about, like when you have to put this on your own, anyway, it's A, it's I, and it's U. These are the sounds that they have, the vowels. But there are also long ones. So they have A, U, and I. And sometimes it can give you like a hint, a clue. Because when sometimes you could see that there is this letter responsible for the long vowel. Then you could figure out, okay, there will be vowel in this word, but another trap, this letter that could mean there is a long vowel, it could also mean a consonant. And
gosh.
And I don't know, you're listening to me, and I hope I'm expressing it. I'm trying to express it like as simple way as possible. But I can hear myself right now, and I know it may sound crazy to you, and you may be totally discouraged by the language right now. Yeah,
I'm also trying to follow, and the struggle is real.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not sure if it's if there is a point of me explaining it again, because the best. This is. Because it's podcast, it's different, if I had a marker right now, and the whiteboard, it would be easier. yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, and probably it will not encourage you. Yeah, if you want to when you hear, okay, so I may not read a book in my life, like never. Yeah, I mean you can, but you need to have a very good command, and a very rich vocabulary, and also so a lot of consonants and a lot of totally different sounds that we have in Polish. And we mentioned Polish has crazy sounds, weird, like totally unique. So let's say our throats are used to speaking very weird sounds, but now there is Arabic, showing you that we can do better. They have few very glottal sounds, like I can present. I mean, it's like almost, for example, vomiting, because there is v, that's the sound, yeah. Very glottal, very deep. With the croissant that we had. Yeah, again. I said, I should have croissant. Croissant. But my throat forces me to use this harder h, because in Arabic there are 3 h sounds. So there is one similar, let's say, to the European languages, like we have in Polish. H, just h. There is a very soft one in the word meat, for example, is lahm. So it's it's like almost like, whisper. Yeah. And there is khudrawat. Yes, and this I said vegetables, yeah? Yeah. So it's like very deep. So when I started studying Arabic, I had to take care of my throat, super care of my throat. They have also th sound, the English th sound, like th, very similar to this one, and the. But there is very important, the most important Arabic sound, which is ein. And Mikołaj, you mentioned Polish is quite loud. We as a nation, we may be considered loud people. No way. And it's very important sound because the word Arabic or al-lugha arabiyya means the Arabic language. So in this word Arabic, in Arabic, there is the sound ein. And people say Arabic people are loud because how can you pronounce this word let's say in a normal way, quiet way?
Is it even possible to whisper in Arabic?
I don't know, only if you say this, probably. Yeah. But even if they were if you have this word habibi, which means my baby, there is no this, let's say, romantic soft h. No, there is this normal h. So, but yeah, whispering, I think it's possible just with this one. And also they have hamza. Hamza is this kind of, when you want to speak Cockney, for example, and you say water, water. Yeah, or that's a good one, a good example. So you have this this. Your throat is very tight. Yeah. So it's a sound, it's a sound in Arabic. Yeah, this is also that might be something new. And for example, they have the normal k or the emphatic k, which is like k. Also very, very glottal, yeah? So, crazy stuff with the sounds. Get ready to have a sore throat if you want to start studying it. I can see your facial expression. You are very encouraged.
I am lost, I am confused, but I'm glad I heard that.
I'm glad you survived this shouting, and the microphone survived this shouting. And I can show it to you how it works later on. So you asked me about the writing. Okay, so this is discussed. We have once you master it, imagine, Mikołaj, you mastered the writing. What do you feel could be the next obstacle awaiting?
I'm guessing maybe grammar, because I think it might be really difficult, especially for our European minds, because it probably differs a lot from most European languages. And you will tell me whether it's true. Okay, so I didn't have a chance to learn all of the tenses that they have, but when you compare the number of tenses, for example, in comparison to English, which is crazy, then Arabic doesn't have that much. But for example, they have 3 cases. So 3 cases comparing to Polish 8 cases. And for example, Spanish has 2 be verbs. In Arabic, at the beginning, you don't have to use the be verb.
you can use,
Like at all?
at all. You can form a sentence. Imagine you can form a sentence without the actual verb. But the verb is hidden there. So what I mean is like, usually when you have very simple sentences, just when you want to say, okay, this house is beautiful. Yeah? So you have the house and this is the be verb and you have the beautiful. So what I'm doing just to avoid this be verb is putting the house with the article al, which is like the, English the. But the beautiful, the adjective beautiful, doesn't have it. So when I have this kind of the difference, one word is with this al, with this the other is without it, then you don't see it, but there is the be verb between them. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But what is crazy about the sentences in Arabic is that if you want to, for example, somehow in one sentence you put, let's say, the ugly house and let's say a beautiful lion, first the nouns come after each other and then the adjectives. And the adjectives the adjective needs to have the same gender as the noun. Sounds okay. I guess you're lost. I mean, I'm afraid
I'm trying to
our
follow.
listeners will be lost as well. But what I mean, like, let's say the lion in Arabic is male, like the gender, and beautiful needs to be also in the same gender. The house can be female, so the ugly needs to also be in the female gender. Okay. Because then I know what is what, because the lion could be ugly and the house could be beautiful. Uh-huh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, what if the nouns that I'm describing have the same gender? Then it's up to your interpretation.
Okay.
Like, let's say, you need to know the context. Like, oh my gosh, how many times I heard it, yeah? The context. And of course, context is important, but sometimes you could give us more than just the context, yeah? And I would tell you, I mean, because I personally like grammar. So maybe it was always, like, easy for me to study some grammar rules. But what was very challenging for me was vocabulary. Because I couldn't make any associations at all, because it's a completely different family of words. It's like the Semitic language, yeah. So it's a totally different, and a lot of words like sound super weird and crazy. But the borrowings that we have, for example, helped us. For example, I know kahwa is coffee. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is okay. You can make
see the connection.
Yeah, associations like that, and also, for example, they took the borrowings like television, so it's TV. But there are not so many words like that. So that was very, very hard for me. And with grammar, also there is something like. This is something unique. This is something, maybe some other, let's say, the Semitic languages have something like that too. I don't know, but the verbs have classes. It means like there are like 12 in Arabic, 12 classes, 12 different groups of verbs, and they have their own patterns. Yes, they have their own patterns like in maths. How to change the form, how to change the consonants, because the consonant sometimes can have a long vowel after, like, or a short one, and in a different tense, in a different aspect, either it is like the active participle, or you want to form, let's say, some kind of passive or something like that. It changes, and the key for them is just you need to swat it as maths, because it's like that, like patterns, and they consider like all of my academic teachers I remember told us, Arabic is one of the most logical languages in the world. And I'm like, 3 years it took me. I mean, I fought for 3 years. And I couldn't see that. Of course, I do agree there are the verb, like the patterns, you can swat it as maths, but what's the point? I mean, I'm far from learning the language this way. If it's not useful, I mean, I could have had, like, let's say, more, maybe speaking, just to do it automatically, naturally. I just want to tell you the crazy stuff that I think deserves to be mentioned in this podcast, because we're talking about the, weird things are numbers. Numbers are usually something that is introduced the very first lessons. Let's say 1 month of studying and you know the numbers. And I think I had the numbers, that was the second semester. There are different rules when you want to form a plural with 1 and 2 number, with 3 and 10 number, from 11 to 19. And then bigger numbers, you must take different gender of a noun, different gender of the number, and different case even. And it turns out, like, you swat it, you studied it, but you will never use it in practice, because when you are on holiday, they use their own dialects. And they don't know these numbers, and they are so crazy. And I don't know, like, how hard and how much you have to study to easily use it. I questioned my sanity a lot, you know? The numbers of times I questioned my sanity while studying it is like countless. And I remember the second year, they told us, but you know what? You will not be able to communicate because you are learning the grammatically correct Arabic, which is used by, let's say, the educated people, but there are so many illiterate groups of people in the Arabic world, and the Arabic word is so rich, and there are so many dialects, and even in one city they can use different dialects. So yeah, actually, it turned out, sadly, that it's pointless and useless, the things that I studied. The one silver lining that is there is that it opened my mind. Like, I look at the languages in a different way right now, because I have a comparison to one of the most difficult languages in the world. And also, the Arabic language is the words are based on roots. And if you want to use a classic, like, say, the old school dictionary, like a book, to check the word, it's not like the alphabetical order as we are used to, but it bases on roots. So you need to know the root of the word to check its meaning, and then different parts of speech and so on. But the things that I just got from this, for example, kahwa. I mentioned kahwa.
Yeah.
So when you see coffee and when you see Polish kawa, you see there is the root.
Yeah.
So this is something that that's my silver lining after 3 years of studying the Arabic language. Yeah, I said a lot, Mikołaj.
Yeah, there was a lot to take in.
A lot to take in. I mean, I'm glad that you're still with me. You're just tired. So maybe, Mikołaj, your turn. Swedish, please tell me.
So, I am obviously not a proficient learner. I've been learning Swedish for just 1 year, and it was through Duolingo. So there's not a lot that I know, and I can hardly say anything, but I found some interesting aspects that we might talk about. And I also found some similarities to our native language, Polish, because in Swedish there are compound constants, which are just constants that are pronounced differently. And they are very common in Swedish. And at first for me it was okay, that sounds a bit weird, but it's manageable. But then I realized that it's manageable thanks to the fact that we have something similar in Polish. Because you don't read the sh, ch, zh sounds as they are written, because you pronounce them just like I did right now. And it's the same in Swedish. So I've got a lot of them here written down, but I'll just focus on 2 of them, because they are 4 constants. I'll show you. That
so it's a combination of D plus J, yeah?
Yeah,
or
D plus J, H plus J, J plus J, L plus J is all just pronounced as J, but more similar to our Polish J.
But it's confusing because it's 4 different digits.
Yeah,
and it's pronounced the same.
Yeah, and that is a bit confusing. But I mean, after probably reading through a lot of text, you'll probably get used to it. So, for example, this word here, which has L, G sounds, the constant in the beginning, it's not lius, but it's jus, just means light. And by the way, I am deeply sorry for any potential Swedish listener for my pronunciation, but I'm still learning, okay?
We should have apologized at the very beginning, like we are going to... yeah, but we are trying with croissant.
And the second example to it is like with the SJ, SKJ, SKJ, SCH. It's just pronounced as chły. So like kind of similar to Polish. So for example, Juana is like a star, and it is spelled with STJ in the beginning. So,
but it's still again the same sound for four different combinations.
Yeah. So it is a bit weird, but
when for example somebody speaks to you and you must put it down. You don't know which one.
Yeah, you're confused. Which one is it?
In terms of pronunciation, would you compare it with some of the other European languages that are maybe close?
Yes, I honestly once said that if Swedish was a child, its parents would be the English and the German, because a lot of the vocab is similar to the English and the German. But from what I noticed, a lot of the longer words are like more German, and the shorter ones are like more English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Theoretically, a person with a good command of both of them should survive.
Yeah, it probably will be, especially for the person who knows German, because Scandinavian languages are like Germanic, so it will be easier for them, especially because they are also like, gosh, I forgot how they're called in English, but like the umlaut sounds.
Yes, I think it's umlaut. You say it's umlaut, I would say, because it's the German one, yeah?
Yeah, so I think like a German speaker will find some similarities. And what I also wanted to talk about, which I think you said is also like pretty similar in Arabic, is that they're short and long vowels. Obviously, there's a lot of them, like a, e, I, o, u, u, a, e, and obviously, depending on whether the vowel is long or short, it changes the meaning. Like just some examples, glass, spelled like a glass in English, is with the short A, and it means ice cream. But if you use the long the long vowel, you pronounce it as gloss, and this one means glass.
Okay, but the spelling is different?
Yeah, it's a bit different because
there's one S.
There's one S with the gloss and two S with glass.
It is tricky, but pairs like that, I think they appear in many languages.
Many languages.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, nice notes. I mean, you cannot see, but Mikołaj has it like all highlighted, and I believe like maybe when you when you close your eyes, when you study, you can see it, or when you want to recall the words, you can see it. Cool notes. What about grammar? Like, have you got to the point that you have to study some tenses?
Well, not really, not too much, but from what I noticed, the grammar is not that hard, and more than often it's similar to English. Okay. So if you already know English, it also will help you with learning Swedish, which might be useful because you will be able to communicate with, I might be wrong, but from my point of view, you will be able to communicate with any other Scandinavian speakers. I actually got a friend that's Danish, and he said that he's got like two mothers, and one of them is Danish and the other one is Swedish, and they both talk to each other in their own languages and understand each other. So,
and what about him? Like, what happens in his mind?
Well, he mostly uses Danish, but he also like understands Swedish. So
This is super, I mean, because, okay, like them, the mothers talking.
Yeah.
It's still like, okay, yeah, I mean, you can, I can imagine it, but what happens in his mind when he wants to express something, yeah? It's can I ask how old he is?
Yeah, he's about my age.
Okay, so for now, probably it's in the correct place, but when he was little, what...
He must have been so confused.
Yeah, so... But yeah, from the early, childhood, he could acquire 2 languages, which is cool. When I was in Denmark and I listened to people, actually, I had the feeling this is like a German language with English pronunciation, like softer.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Actually, I had me and my friends during other Erasmus project, we had some Danish students come to Poland, and every time they were talking amongst each other, we were so confused because Danish at times sounds so similar to English, and we caught ourselves thinking that they were talking to us in English. And then when we asked them whether they asked something, and they were like, no, what you're talking about? Because as it turned out, they were just talking amongst each other, and we were just so confused all the time. So, yeah.
And now I'm thinking, if you're, for example, English user, would be easier or maybe confusing, Because maybe it turned out that it might be confusing at some point, yeah? Not,
it definitely helps you with the vocab because it's similar, but with the speaking, it might be like a small obstacle because of the different pronunciation, and your mind probably, when it sees the word, it automatically goes for English, but you need to change it a bit.
And now, imagine that you have a good command of German and English, and you just go to some Scandinavian country if you can, survive. Do you feel like continuing learning?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Was it something discouraging maybe?
Well, not yet. Not yet. It might be because I'm on A1 level still. And maybe along the way to a high level, there will be some obstacles that might be harder for me to overcome. But for now, I am very positive in continuing learning this language because it's quite easy for me, especially as someone who already knows English and just a tiny bit of German.
Maybe you will come back to German too, Okay. So, maybe a few comments about Hungarian. So Polish seems to be crazy because of the 8 cases that we have, but Hungarian has...
Oh gosh, 14?
18.
18, God.
And I'm wondering if they are aware and they're using all of them, because it's... My gosh, so how many different contexts you must have, situations to use all of them. But anyway, yeah, they have it, and why not? And what is very interesting is that the closest relative is Finnish.
Yeah, that's weird.
So it's closest to the Scandinavian languages. Maybe if you have a better command of Swedish, maybe you may find out if Hungarian seems that crazy. Yeah. Well, but they are so isolated in Europe, yeah, in the almost heart of Europe, and the closest relative is there. And another weird thing I would say is that they have this linguistic purism. So when there is a borrowing, they adapt it to Hungarian. But why? You have of course.
Yeah, you already have the word, so why not just use it? I think in modern world, almost in every language there are so many borrowings. Even in Polish, we use different English words so often. Why not just do it in Hungarian as well?
Can make your life easier when it comes, for example, to technological items, yeah, devices. Because what is funny is that the word computer. They have their own word for that. Why make it more difficult? They don't have the tendency to adapt the borrowing as it is. I believe there are also other languages in the world that can do it. But still, this is something different. And the other thing is that they create, let's say, a noun from a verb or the other way round. And English has it For example, I mean, you can have one word for a noun and a verb, which may help a lot, like water, plant, or bag. Yeah. And in Hungarian, there's something similar, like when you have, for example, a word, a mushroom, which is gomba. If you pick up mushrooms, you use gombasik. I mispronounced it, I'm 100% sure. But my point is that if you have this root, like if you have the base, you can create a verb, yeah? Or, for example, you have a bicycle, which is kerekpár. And if you ride a bicycle, you do kerekpározik. How cool is that? Yeah. But, more examples that you will probably find in, dictionary. But this can turn out to be useful and easy when it comes to like when you start learning the Hungarian, which is considered one of the most difficult languages in the world. Yeah? I don't know which one is crazier, Polish or Hungarian. So yeah, that would be it. Like the comments that I have on Hungarian, and the last language that we have that we left for the end.
This one's really exotic.
It's really exotic. So we are going to talk about Japanese. And have you ever considered learning such an exotic language?
I might surprise you, but at some points in my life, I did. And I remember that I actually wanted to learn a little Japanese. But then after like a first, let's say, lesson, because like I obviously taught myself because there's not a lot of Japanese courses in Poland. I just literally gave up. I saw the alphabet and was like, okay, maybe. But then I heard it's a bit of tonal language. So I was like, okay, now I'm out.
Yeah, this is very interesting about the Asian languages, the intonation. We mentioned Spanish last podcast. That is just, okay, you form a question when you use a different tone. But here you can actually change the meaning of...
And the meaning can like really differ. And for example, instead of giving someone a compliment, you can like offend
or
somebody.
insult.
Yeah, insult somebody. So yeah.
Do you remember anything like saying hi or something like that?
Oh, no, I mean, hi, wasn't it like konnichiwa? I'm not sure.
It sounds familiar to me.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, I don't remember almost any of it because it was like at least 5 years ago. So no, not really. But I mean, just the amount of those symbols was really intimidating.
And you started learning the alphabet and writing the symbols, or you just started from the hearing and...
The hearing, and okay. I just spelled the words as I heard them in Polish to make it easier for me, because I wanted to just start with communicating and then maybe someday writing, but that day never came. So.
Yeah, but it's hard stuff. It's very challenging stuff. The spelling, putting it as you can hear it, this is something that I did when I studied Arabic first, before I got the alphabet, because if you want to memorize the basic phrases, here it goes. Did you know about the gender?
No, I've never heard of it before reading the Bible. And when I read it, I was like, how is this possible? And how on earth does it still work in a language? Yeah,
so we're quickly explaining it. In the book that we recommended last podcast, so Babel, by Gaston Doren, women and men use different languages. I mean, we must call it, let's call it this way, yeah? So there is a different set of vocabulary for women and a different set of vocabulary for men, and the phrases, expressions, I guess grammar structures as well. And yeah, as you said, that was something new for me. Yeah, it was outrageous. It is still happening. It's 21st century. People are fighting for equality, but still the language can limit you.
But I think it's obviously outrageous for us because we were brought up in a different culture, a European culture. And for probably most Japanese people, or even people that were brought up in a culture similar to the Japanese one, probably don't find it that odd and are just, that's the way it is.
Yeah, of course, there is a different mindset, and the culture is different, and the relations that they have are like totally, different. And you have to, of course, act in a different way when you are talking to you, like somebody superior to you. So I've been thinking if we had to switch to Japanese today. Or if you wanted to, let's say you want to come back to the language and I want to start learning, and we apply for a course, for example, would we, attend the same course?
Yeah.
Yeah? How it is in Europe, for example, if you want to take, is it kind of, let's say, modern Japanese or the neutral Japanese? Or if both of us were Japanese, how would we communicate right now?
Yeah, that's like mind-blowing question.
Yeah, so different genders, but also different age. And from the book, we learned that, for example, women have to use more polite.
And more like submissive kind of language.
Yeah, and I would say obsolete language. Yeah, and submissive. But I am older than you.
Yeah. And
then what? This is something that probably you maybe will find the answers when once we go there, travel there, and just live amongst them. But what I think hit me was, I think there was a comment of the author that the women are taught speak when you're only spoken to, and when you have like something really urgent to say, and try to speak as little as you can. And it's just terrible. It discourages women to take an action and let their voice be heard. It's beyond my mind. I mean, but as you mentioned, we were brought up in a different culture. And the rules here and traditions, it leaves a lot to be desired. Just, you have to be honest. And when it comes to equality and all of this stuff, but I believe it is changing for better. Yeah. And then, submissive and just speak when you're spoken to. And then we are going to a language course and what? And I'm like, so should I stay quiet? And what also shocked me was the translation of the books and interviews. Remember?
Yeah.
So, for example, imagine you read Harry Potter, and Hermione speaks in a language that is too archaic for her age.
Yeah, because she's, I don't know how old Hermione is in the books, but let's say
from 10, I think starts when she's 10, 11.
Wait, didn't you get your Hogwarts letter at 14 or something?
No, 11.
11?
Harry was 11.
Okay, let's say 11.
I will look it up after. No. Yeah, because they were 17 when they graduated.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And imagine her being 11 but speaking like a grown woman.
So then McGonagall what? McGonagall? What's the language for McGonagall if she's very old, yeah?
Maybe in the Japanese version she never spoke at all. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, speak only when
you're spoken to.
Yeah, maybe if somebody's listening to it and knows a lot about the Japanese culture and the language, please tell us, because we are very curious. And if we are wrong, please correct us. But this is something that we just, learned from the books and our research. Books, they have different books at school.
Yeah, the books for learning are different for the boys and for the girls. So yeah, as you can see, the women's language is introduced to the little girls. So the women language in Japan probably won't extinct or something. It probably will still be there.
Beyond my mind. I mean, we are kind of speechless, when we consider the facts.
And even such small things, because I also remember that it's not appropriate for women to use any Chinese borrowings, and it's mostly because only men can use them, and it's kind of similar to using some Latin borrowings in a European language. It makes you look like a very intelligent and smart person, and women are told not to use them because they are meant not to say a lot and not to brag about how educated they are. Yeah, so this is something that you mentioned. What we learned from the book is not that it's a crime for a woman to use this set of vocabulary. It's just
it's not appropriate. Yeah. So, and like considering the culture that they live in, and they are quite submissive. Like in their culture, they care about the society, not the individual. Yeah. So probably they will apply to the rules, and they will abide by the rules. So shall we finish?
Yeah, I think we've done all we wanted to discuss.
Yeah, so it was a pleasure to talk with you, to discuss the languages, Mikołaj, with you. I am happy that you came here and you took part in this podcast.
I'm very thankful for the invitation.
Of course, pleasure is mine. We hope our discussion maybe intrigued you, or maybe encouraged you to start learning some of the foreign languages, or maybe discouraged. We are so sorry, but I mean, why not give it a try? Just these are our experiences, and we try to show it to you from the viewpoints of learners and users, and we enjoyed it a lot. Hope you enjoyed it too. So it was
Mikołaj Adamczyk
and Kasia Muszyńska, and talk to you later.